Alrighty, here we are back playing some Tropico 6. I believe we're on episode 5 now. And so the last recording I did, my microphone wasn't turned on. And so I did like the whole 40-minute, 50-minute recording, and I didn't record any of the conversation that I was having. And so that's kind of a bummer, but I mean, it's not too terrible. I'll make sure to just cover everything that I was talking about as I make it through this episode. Okay, and so right at the beginning of the last episode, I just finished making it into the Cold War era. And so whenever you make it into the Cold War era, really there's a number of ways to make it through the era. And the easiest by far is doing tourism. And so that's what I was chiefly doing in the last episode, was I was putting up a bunch of hotels and then building buildings that tourists can go and visit. And so setting up a building specifically for tourists, really the only thing you need to do is make sure this little checkbox here is checked. And so if we leave it unchecked, as we can see, the fee income is only $60. But by checking this, it goes up by around 6 times as much. And so over the course of this building's lifetime, we've made a total of $34,000. And I don't even think it's been up for like 3 or 4 years. Like, it hasn't been up that long, just since kind of the beginning of the last episode. So that's tourism, and by contrast, if we come look at our theater, this thing's only made $10,000, so way less than this casino here. But this thing's been up since the very beginning of our playthrough. Got a lot of vacant jobs. We got a lot of. I'm just gonna hire foreign workers for this. Yeah, and so setting up tourism is really good. You definitely want to do that. In the beginning of the video, or like for maybe like the first half of the last episode, the tourist port was only bringing in 10 tourists at a time, and I kept kind of complaining about it, and I believe the reason is that the tourist rating was 0 the whole time. And so what we needed to wait for was tourists to actually leave, and then they'll leave a rating once they leave the island. And so then we got our first tourist rating, and then we started getting a lot more tourists showing up on the island. We were getting like 200 at one point, I think. And so making it through this era, you can make a nuclear bomb. You can use it's a raid building. You can use, I believe it's the Spy Academy, to steal one of the world wonders in the game. Or you can get 500 tourists to visit the island. And so doing this one, sometimes it can take a long time to steal a world wonder. Building a nuclear bomb, it kind of requires a lot of money, a lot of research points, and a lot of electricity. But if you can manage to get all of that, then building a nuclear bomb is definitely pretty easy to do. Nuclear program. And as you can see, it requires 100 electricity, 17,000 plus 35,000. Like, it's just a lot of money. And then you need, I believe, $10,000 to start it with 5,000 research points, and as you can see, we don't even have 5,000 research points. Some other things that I was doing in the last episode, I quickly talked about the politics. So as we can see, we've been pushing everyone towards capitalism, and how we were doing that was our one newspaper on deals and profit. And so what I was talking about in the last episode was that I was specifically not really worried about either of these two factions, religious and militarist. And then for the environmentalist and industrialist, I was going to go with industrialist, because we're kind of emulating Chicago here, and Chicago had all of those car manufacturing factories, and so I figured that they were pretty industrialist. And then for religious and militarist, I mean, I didn't really want to like choose one or the other, and I'd rather just kind of keep them both happy. But so to push everyone towards industrialists, I said previously this was set on the Penny Saver. We have 2 newspapers here. This one was on Penny Saver, so I changed it to Next Level, and then I built a radio station and put it on Tech Talk. And so now we have a newspaper and a radio station, all pushing all of the people around this area towards the industrialist faction. I came over here, set up additional, like 2 additional newspapers and another radio station, and they're just copying these ones over here. So we have a total of 2 newspapers on Next Level, and then 2 newspapers on Deals and Profit, and 2 radio stations on Tech Talk. And so that's pretty much all that really happened. I mean, I was talking about some other things. Another thing that I was talking about was I wanted to create like I was calling it something. Well, I can't remember exactly what I was calling it. Oh yeah, a municipal area. So I wanted an area with like, you know, like all the offices, immigration offices, our first bank, a library. Well, I moved the library from over here. And so I wanted to create like these 6 zones here for just a lot of the government buildings. And so like a courthouse, the Ministry of Information, a customs office, the ministry, just things like that. I might even end up putting our first hospital here. And so because we're going to have like a lot of government buildings that require college educations, this is going to bring in a lot of money. Or well, not bring in a lot of money. These people are going to get paid a lot of money. So as we can see here, these 3 people are making a wage of $75. And so this is enough to make an individual filthy rich. And so like all the people working in the bank are probably going to be at least rich. As we can see, there's one rich person, probably because he's got a wife. She works in a steel mill, makes way less money, and then they have a son. Did I ever turn on? Yeah, okay, so their son isn't affecting that, but all these people around here are going to be rich, or at least well off. As you can see, all of these people here are rich. I increased the budget on the library just because if we have rich individuals, then we can put them up in these mansions here. And so let's check out the contrast. An apartment, we're making $120 off of all of these families here. So we need all of these families to be living here, and we make $120 a month. But if we check out a mansion, we're making like $70, so almost like getting pretty close to as much, but it's only 2 families, and right now it's just 2 individuals, which is pretty cool. So we're making a lot more money off the mansions per household, but at the same time it's a lot less dense, but that'll be okay. So I ended up setting up a bunch of coal and iron mines over here just so that we started never running into problems with our buildings that require all of the coal and iron. So then I set up a power plant, so now we have electricity on the island. I set up an additional construction office just because I'd rather get the buildings up without having to quick build everything. And then I realized that our environmentalists were getting pretty upset, and the reason is because their standing, as you can see right here, this little smiley face is 0. And it's because we built all those mines up. And on top of that, we're building a steel, like a couple more steel mills. So this is making them like really, really upset. And so they're not too happy. And so they're going to, if we read down here, environmentalist faction supporters, so anyone that's a part of this faction, will start protests at industry buildings, production buildings, power plants, nuclear power plants, and other buildings. So something that was pretty important that I was talking about is if there is no environmentalist faction supporters, so as we can see here, we have 191 of them. If we pushed all of these people to the industrialist faction, then this ultimatum would not matter at all. Like, we could just let this happen, you know, like not change the constitution for them and wait 305 days. And the protests, there'll be no protests because there'll be no environmentalists to do the protesting. And so that's the main reason as to why I went through and started changing everyone towards industrialists. I was going to do this anyways. I should have done it sooner because then there'd be even less environmentalists. But for this first one, I'm probably going to end up I ended up researching religion and state, and the reason is that I'm going to go through and put on freedom of religion for them. I'm going to wait until there's like kind of no days left till we're getting pretty close. And so that pretty much covers everything. I was giving out some other minor tips, just like little things that I'd see here and there. But, I mean, you didn't miss out on a whole lot, so that's okay. Something that I want to do, another thing that I was talking about, is I was going to wait for the modern times to start building rubber and start getting all the different crops. And the reason is, I don't want to be using too many of these normal plantations, and so I'd rather be using the hydroponic plantations. This is going to require a lot of electricity, but hopefully soon we'll not have any more electricity problems. Speaking of electricity problems, I'm going to go ahead and preemptively put down a second coal power plant. That'll be pretty nifty for us. Yeah, so pretty soon we'll have a lot of electricity. And I think before I electrify anyone's housing, I'm going to use all of our electricity for setting up hydroponic plantations. So we need, I believe, 4, maybe 8. We built all the steel mills that we're going to need for the vehicle factories, because we're going to need, I want to build 4 vehicle factories. That's going to require 4 steel mills. And then I believe each vehicle factory is either going to require 1 or 2 rubber rubber plantations. And so if I go through and build up all the rubber plantations that we'll need, then I'll be able to get all of our vehicle factories down, which would be pretty cool. In terms of building up tourism, a tip that I gave in the last episode was that only rich Tropicans can use cars, but any tourist can use a car. So if we click on any of these tourists, they're all well off because we have the tourist port that only brings well off individuals. And so all of the tourists are well off, but they can still use these cars. And so if you want to build like vehicle infrastructure, like as you can see here, we got a lot of vehicles driving around. What you need is a lot of these parking decks. And so people can only drive between a building that has, like, say someone hops in this parking deck and say they're a Tropican and they want to go to the grocery, then they can do that. They can drive to a grocery because the grocery has road access. But like say they wanted to come to the theater, then they wouldn't really be able to do that because there's no road access. So what you have to do is set up additional parking decks. And so now that we have this one here, if someone wanted to drive from this parking deck to the theater, they would end up driving from this parking deck to this parking deck and then walking down. And so that's pretty important. Something kind of nice is that all of the buildings that have just like jobs. So as you can see here, like say someone worked in a power plant, all these people are probably getting pretty close to rich. Yeah, every single one of these guys is rich. And so that means that they'll be able to hop in a car, and yeah, as you can see, a car just drove into the front of this building. So like let's say that someone went from work to the grocery, he could drive to the grocery, and then say he lived by this parking deck, then he'd be able to drive from the grocery to this parking deck here. And so that's all pretty cool. Long story short, you want to build a lot of parking decks around. The more parking decks you have, the more people can drive around. We're steady making money. That's where I cut the video off last episode, was the fact that we were starting to make a lot of money. Something specifically that I was talking about is, as you can see here, yeah, this is pretty cool. So you can see these jumps. So the treasury will make a big jump here, the money goes down, it'll make a big jump, money will go down. And this is typically how like a island in Tropico works. And I feel like for a long time this is how like people kind of got used to it, is that you lose money over time and then you make it all back, and you lose money over time and then you make a bunch. But as you can see here, this little gap right here, the money is just steadily going up. And the reason is that we're starting to set up a lot of tourism. And so as you can see, the money's in these like upward trends, and then for some reason it's going back down. And so the thing is once you set up like a lot of tourism, it can quickly reach a point where you're just raking in money. Every month, you're just making lots and lots of money. And so that's really nice to have set up. So we just need more tourism. We have a lot of money, and I was talking about it. I want these 3 blocks here to be mansions for the municipal area. So that means that the rest of this area here we can set up more tourism. So let's go ahead and do that. Another hotel there. 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 That looks fine. I'll just quick build it all up. We're starting to get a lot of money now, so kind of doesn't matter too much. We got a lot of homeless families. Let's check their wages. So we have a lot of well-off homeless families. It looks like a lot of workers. So people working in the mines, people working Teamsters offices, things like that. As you can tell, they're little hard hats. And so residential occupancy, as you can see, every house is lived in, so I don't really know where exactly I should build more housing. So I'm probably going to end up just kind of building it just around. Definitely want to build more than we need so that we can kind of eventually get a read on where we should be building it. Well, as a matter of fact, this building here isn't completely lived in. I don't want it to be like too dense. I don't want like a whole tile completely filled in with apartment complexes. I mean, it's not terrible, but I'd kind of rather space them out a bit so we can fit other buildings. Fit other buildings into these little zones here. I'm just gonna go ahead and quick build all of this up. And we'll give it a little bit of time, and then we'll kind of get a better read on, oh wow, a bunch of new people just showed up, and we completed a raid rescue at the same time. So even though I just built up a bunch of jobs, all of these hotels just got all their worker slots filled, which is kind of funny. So what we can do is change the wages on all of them. I'm not sure what the control is for console, but if you hold control, you can change the wage on all of the buildings, as it says right there. And so that's typically what you want to do on like all of your islands. You want all the buildings to, like, you wouldn't want to go through and change like one building here and another building here. And you just want everything to be like pretty blanket across the whole island. And the reason you want to do that is if you're going through and you're doing that and it's like, oh man, there's not enough workers here, there's not enough workers in this building. It might be because you're having too many vacant jobs. And so if you had 100 extra vacant jobs, not only are a lot of buildings not going to have workers, also you're going to be paying upkeep costs for all of these extra jobs that no one's working in. So that's why you want to keep the amount of vacant jobs close to zero and the unemployed rate close to zero. So you want this all to stay really, really, really low. And so, like, technically right now, like, the most ideal way to do it would be to only build 16 more jobs, and then that'll make it to where everyone on the island's got a job and and we're not like wasting a lot of money. And we don't have a lot of homeless people around. I'm gonna build another nightclub, I think. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna build a nightclub for our population, and then I think I'm gonna build another nightclub right here for our tourist. This will be for our people, this will be for tourism. Put that on the max service, max budget. Same thing with this one, and make this one for tourist only. And so when building up tourism, you want to put down a lot of hotels all over the island. This will get a lot of people moving in. Oh, oh wow, look at this. So we only have 22 days until this is finished up. We're making the religious people upset. We'll see why real quick. Yeah, religious support is really low. The reason is we're building up a lot of apartments, which I guess they don't like. And then on top of that, we're building up like nightclubs and stuff, which I guess that's understandable. For the environmentalists, they want us to change the constitution to freedom of religion, so we'll do that for them. Get them off our back for a while. I should have taken the increased environmentalist support. These people want us to build a cathedral. So, these religious ultimatums, they're kind of annoying to deal with because a lot of your buildings will catch on fire over time. But as you can imagine, if we had no one towards the religious faction, then we wouldn't have to worry about it. So maybe I should have been pushing everyone towards militarist, because I guess that is pretty American. But at the same time, I feel like freedom of religion is pretty important in America, so I'll just leave it for now, and hopefully, like, once the island gets close to getting finished, they won't be super upset with us all the time. So we have close to 1,000 extra electricity. That's pretty nice. I wonder why these people... Oh, yeah, okay, so the people are upset that they're not having fun. So we'll just build up a little bit of fun happiness at an all-time low. We got 83 there, 73 there, 68 there. Maybe like 2 more buildings that they can have fun at, and they'll quit complaining. Let's see what we can do. Maybe a movie theater. I feel like there's a pretty good spot. I built this backwards. That's funny. That's okay. We'll just... Well, as a matter of fact, you know what? We could put a flop house here. The flop house isn't giving us like too much rent money, so I'm gonna put them all on the max budget, because on the max budget that means that people, like even the poor population and the only housing that they can live in, they'll still be pretty happy, and we'll go ahead and electrify it for them. So we get housing quality all the way up to 78. And oh wow, look at that. So we just got 200 tourists, and that comfortably moves us through to the modern times. So just like that, we made it to the modern times. That's pretty cool. Let's check out what's going on here. Police and religious buildings and a theocracy check residents and workers in their crime safety radius and detect hidden roles. I'm gonna put this on privacy rights. And for this one, what we're gonna do is put on paid healthcare. That's definitely not super American, but I mean, it's fine. It makes it to where poor people, well, makes it to where broke Tropicans still won't be able to use, like our clinic here, as you can see, you need to be at least poor. But they will be able to go to all of these chapels, and they'll be able to get some healthcare there. So now that we are in the modern times, I want to see real quick. Hydroponic plantations, they're not super duper expensive. We'll be able to afford them. Only downside is that these plantations here, all of our uneducated population can just work here. And there's like no problems with that. So once we start destroying those, then we're going to have a lot of unemployed people that are mostly uneducated, as we can see, uneducated. Yeah, no one here has an education. I mean, that's kind of crappy, but it won't be too bad. I might just end up, no, I'd rather get this done sooner. So what I'm going to do is and that looks fine there. So we'll go ahead and start on our first bit of rubber plantations. I know for a fact that we'll need at least 4. I'm not exactly sure like the precise amount that we'll need. It would be nice if there was like a better way to fit these into these blocks here, but that'll be okay. So as soon as we get these 4 down, oh no, low rebel threat. So this kind of sucks, but because we don't have any military buildings. But I know for a fact that our liberty is just too high because we allow guns on our island. Even like way out here, the liberty's at 75. So the whole island has a lot of liberty, just like America. So there's absolutely no reason why Tropicans will be getting so upset that they just become like rebels. And so this leaves me to believe that there is, within the special citizens, I have a feeling that there's a secret foreign spy on the island somewhere. Typically this only happens whenever you make a superpower upset. So there's gotta be a foreign spy somewhere on the island. I don't know how we're gonna be able to figure out who it is. Especially because what I ended up doing was in our constitution. Yeah, so we put it on privacy rights, and this means that security checkpoints can't discover hidden roles. I mean, that kind of sucks, but maybe we'll just get lucky. So that's just security checkpoints. We could use other buildings to maybe try and figure out who they are. We now have access to the shopping malls. We also have access to like high-rise buildings, and so I'm gonna eventually start replacing all these buildings with high-rises. Okay, so something that you can do. We'll invite America. But something that you can do, this is like a pretty niche little thing, is that if we come over here to government and finance, we can find an offshore office. And you can host a company of one of the superpowers, generates money at the cost of losing relations. And so we can invite, like, let's say we invited the USA, then over time the relationship with the USA will go down, but we'll make money from the office. So that's cool, but there is another little thing which that it'll, whichever superpower you invite, it'll increase the export price of some of your goods. And so it's dependent on which country you invite. I believe America increases, I think it's apparel and cars. And so that would be pretty cool. So like super late in the game, what I could end up doing is having these 2 cigar factories here, and then having 4 car manufacturing factories, and then on top of that we could do a couple, like maybe 2 apparel. And that'll be like our late game industrialization. We could also start replacing all of these hotels with the skyscraper hotels. This is one building that I really wish that they had more. like models of the buildings. Because with the apartments, at least we get accidentally built the same apartment 4 times right here. Actually 5 times right there. But at least we get like some variation with these. It would be cool to have variation on all these hotels because it's kind of an eyesore to see like a bunch of them. Let's see how much money our casino, this is our first casino, made us 40,000. So you can imagine 40,000, 27,000. So that's like 100,000 right there. Another 10,000. So you can imagine being like $100,000 poorer. We would be in the negative. So it's really nice to have all these hotels. The hotels are even bringing in some pretty consistent money, I believe. Nothing too great. 8,000, I think that's our first one we had up. But every little bit counts. I kind of just want the money to save up for a while. Something interesting about the banks is that they generate money, but they only generate money based on how much money you have in your treasury. And so it's best to try and stay like really high up with the amount of money in your treasury. So I might just wait like maybe 10 years to kind of build up some money in our treasury. Now would be a good time to start getting a lot of unemployed people on the island. So I was talking about it a minute ago. You don't want unemployed people and you don't want too many vacant jobs. However, because we're making a criminal island, we do want unemployed people. Reason being is that unemployed people, if they hang out in an area of low crime safety, there's a chance that they will become a criminal. And as we can see, just waiting, like I didn't even wait that long, but already we're getting pretty close to having 100,000. A Pirate Cove? I don't even know if I need this Pirate Cove anymore. But as a matter of fact, send spies to detect hidden rules. I think I might just do a spy academy so we can start detecting who the bad people are on the island. I wonder. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna demolish this one at least. Demolish up this road real quick. Keep the game paused for a second and get our palace relocated right in the center of that right there. And then we'll build roads down this way. And then what we can do is place the budget on the max so that these people getting closer to being rich. More guard positions, why not? Instead of pulling people onto the island using build a size L park near the US Embassy. As a matter of fact, what we can also do is move our embassy over here to right next door to the palace. And they want a size L park. A regime tool, gourmet restaurant. As a matter of fact, we could go out of our way to build a gourmet restaurant. Reason being, these are pretty expensive. I don't believe we have a whole lot of rich people yet. Oh, we have a crime lord. That's cool. So what you can do is so we need a courthouse now. I'm kind of blowing through a lot of money. So As you can see, like, I built up a spy academy, put a gourmet restaurant here. That's not gonna be for our population. And then I'm gonna go through and build a core house. Doing things like this is an easy way to reach into the negative and then kind of not be able to get yourself back out. So at a time like this is whenever you'd want to make sure to at least eventually start focusing more on your economy. So what is this? Tobacco. I'm probably going to demolish these 4 tobacco plantations next, and then maybe I'll build 4 tobacco plantations right behind this one here. Might as well do all of this now. Construct some roads out to it all. Put the courthouse on high priority. People are already coming to build it up, but I'd rather make sure it comes up. Now we have the Spy Academy. Put this on the max budget. So I'm not sure where this is, but I kind of want to research it. I believe it's in the Cold War era. Spy Academy. You can change the Spy Academy's work mode, and so I think they're both kind of funny, like Eastern style, Western style. We'll go with the Western style one. So this gives people a wage of $81. So it's like a bunch of James Bonds here. Open up the raid menu and start doing observations. See if we can figure out who this foreign spy is that's sparking rebellion. As soon as the courthouse is finished, we'll strike a shady deal with... Oh no. Something happened to our crime lord. Drunk man, contraception ban. We'll just do that. I want to strike a shady deal with a crime lord. Reason being is that if you do that, then it increases the likelihood that someone will become a criminal. So we finish... As soon as we finish these, then I'm going to demolish all of these old plantations. This will make a bunch of unemployed people. And hopefully they'll roam around the island and get themselves into some trouble by becoming some criminals. Put these on the max budget. Oh wow, extensive fertilization. This would have made it to where we would need 1 less tobacco plantation if we did this on 2 of them. So if I was to buy... Wow. This is crazy. So, getting the efficiency of, say, a plantation to 200 would mean that 1 plantation is pretty much equal to 2. And so what I could have done here is, what I can actually still do is cancel construction on 2 of these, right? Research these real quick. Come along and find them wherever they are. Hydroponic plantation. Change this one to almost free of nature, so we're up to 150 on the max budget here. And if we get the extensive fertilization, so we needed 4, but instead we have 2 that are twice as good. So this is technically 4 right here. So now we don't need to go out of our way to make 2 more. And so that means that we can set up, I think our first one is going to be corn. So we'll set up some corn plantations here. Reason being is that once you eventually start setting up factory ranches, they require electricity, not as much as a hydroponic plantation, but on top of that, they require an input of corn to feed all the animals. Wow. Where's all this money coming from? I feel like I'm getting just so much money. So we don't need this. Hopefully that's the corn. Yep, and we don't need this one. What's this one? Banana. So this is like a pretty nice little dense zone here. I don't want to put any more just because I kind of want to spread it out a bit. So what we can do is kind of come along and find some other places to build up some hydroponic plantations. This coal mine, gonna go ahead and demolish it. We'll leave these ones up for now, because it's nice to have the extra bit of iron and coal. Now we have so much money that first off what I want to do is we'll build a college in our municipal zone here. We'll go ahead and build a, not casino, but a hospital as well. All of these people are probably going to be rich, so we could also build a parking deck. As a matter of fact, what we could also do is come through and just start building up like a metro station system, but we'll just ignore that for now. Eventually we will set up a metro station probably. As you can see, like the money is just constantly going up, so this means that I'm kind of free to build whatever I want, at least for now. Put all of these on the max budget. Allow local consumption, so this means that poor or broke Tropicans can come over here and get food. And so if we build like a couple right here, a couple of plantations, hydroponic plantations that allow local consumption, and then like some over here, this means that all the broke Tropicans will kind of wander around. They'll be able to wander to the edge of the city here and get food. And so what I want to do is make it to where broke Tropicans can kind of like wander around anywhere, and they'll just be like wandering around the island. I think that'll be a pretty cool way to make a lot of crime happen all over the island. As a matter of fact, what you can do is you can build these bunkhouses. We'll build 3 right there and maybe 2 right here. We'll put these on the maximum budgets, we'll electrify them, and we'll change them all to stack them higher. And so now, there'll be, oh hey, crime lord, strike a shady deal. So there'll be no more homeless families like ever. All these broke Tropicans here that don't have jobs, they'll still be able to live in any of these bunkhouses. And because it's electrified and on the max budget, they'll still have a housing quality of 50. So now they have a house, they can get medical care at any of these chapels, and they can come and get food. And on top of that, there's only one building, one busker, but they can also come to this busker wherever it went, right here, and they can get some fun happiness as well. So as a matter of fact, what I'm going to do is build up some more of these buskers around. Don't want any in like the downtown area. Oh. As a matter of fact, put this on the max budget and change this to dignitaries only. This means that no one will be able to come here, and so this is just costing us a lot of money, but this is going to make the USA pretty happy. What we could end up doing is praise them, request an alliance, guerrilla patrols here. So we don't have a commando garrison, but we'll build one up real quick. Build it way on the edge of the island over here. Having an alliance will oh no. So we don't want to do this yet. So we'll come through, cancel this mission. As we canceled it, we're starting another one. We'll just hire all the workers, why not? But having an alliance is nice because it'll stop other countries from invading us. Max out the budget on the courthouse due process, so now whenever we arrest people, their family isn't going to lose a bunch of approval. I built the college up first. I shouldn't have done that. I probably could have got away with waiting a while. But this means that we can... I wanted to build this up first. I don't like this chapel's position, so we'll move it a little bit. Quick build the high school. Put it on the max budget. I like being as efficient as possible when it comes to the layout, so we'll build a little flop house here. So now we have 73 unemployed individuals walking around on the island. So 71 uneducated people, and we have 0 uneducated jobs. So that's kind of unfortunate for them, but this means that there's a high likelihood that we'll start getting a lot of criminals, hopefully soon. So what we have here is decline. People are dying from bad healthcare. Kind of unfortunate. What we can do is come through hospitalization wing, put this on max budget, ambulance treatment. So now as we get some doctors in here, then all of the well-off people on the island, so if we come through to the wealth, most of the people are at least well-off. As you can see, anything above this red area down here, all of those people will be allowed to come to the hospital. And anyone who's rich can just drive a car over here. But on top of that, homeless families. We have 14 broke homeless families and 0 broke housing. So we can build up just a couple more broke housing. So I quickly just set all of the budgets to the max, changed it to stack them higher, electrified them. So this is free housing with a housing quality of 53 at least. Let's see what else we can do. Oh, yeah, so I didn't talk about this, but newspapers, as you can see, the blue buildings are what it's affecting. Newspapers affect any residential building. So we have, that's kind of why I like build these extra ones, is because we want to stretch it out so that if we click on a new one, we can see. So you can see the blue circle around this new one over here, and then you can kind of see the old circles from the other newspapers. And as you can tell, we are completely affecting like the whole island with our newspapers. And so nowhere is going unaffected. And so that's why we're building more than the original ones. Build up a wind turbine. I mean, I'll probably end up doing that. And then the radio station. It is going to affect people's workplaces. So that's the difference between newspapers and radio stations. And then if you build a TV station, it's the same as a newspaper. It affects people's residential buildings. But the thing is that it only affects residential buildings that are electrified. And so that's a pretty important distinction. So right now wouldn't be the best of times because I haven't electrified any of these apartments yet. We're probably starting to get a lot of rich people over here in this zone, so I'm gonna go ahead and build up. So that one there's yellow. We have a blue one, pink one. electrify these. And cool. And so anyone working in these buildings, they might end up like, let's see if there's any rich people in here. Yeah, so as you can see, we have like this rich person here who's working in the newspaper right next door. He could live in this mansion over here, but he'd rather live in a building that's like right next to his workplace. And that's kind of unfortunate because it's kind of like he could live in this really nice house and it could bring us a lot of money. But that's okay. So now we're starting to get a lot of people coming to this. I think it's funny seeing all the criminals. So if we check out our unemployed, there's 66 unemployed people. So these people are of course all going to be broke, or at least poor probably. Maybe if their spouse is, what's it called, has a job, then they might make it into the poor class, but most of them are going to be broke. And so this means that they won't be able to afford like a nice apartment, they won't be able to afford coming to the hospital, and they won't afford to be able to go to like the grocery store. They gotta go and buy food from like a plantation. And so I just think it's funny that if they become a criminal, because there's no extra jobs, then they'll be able to afford all these crazy things like coming to the hospital and stuff. How much electricity do we have? Not like an insane amount. But I want to start building up our... I might wait until the next episode. I think what I'm going to do for this episode is just try and get our... As you can see, the overall happiness is below the Caribbean happiness. And this is dragging down our support pretty low. Let's just check this out. How much would it cost to electrify? Yeah, so we don't have enough electricity on the island to afford to be able to electrify all of our buildings. But now we have rubber and we have steel. Let's build up our first vehicle factory. We'll activate industrialization. And we will build our first vehicle factory right here. Should go pretty quickly. We have 2 construction offices. And then maybe I'll build like the rest of them kind of in this zone over here. This would also be a good time to go through and purchase a customs office. Just slap it down right here, put this on max budget. Tax evasion, tourist fees, because we do have a lot of tourists. Usually I don't get tourist fees. And I mean, I do want to just hire people from off the island, but that's kind of annoying to have to do. And especially whenever there's no ship. Well, there's kind of a ship inbound. We'll just purchase all of this. Let's see how happy we're making America. Oh. $85, not bad. So America will buy our cigars. I'm gonna only do the middle volume here. Don't want to push it too high because eventually maybe we could get something higher than just 20%. So do the middle one there. And let's come down here and check out some imports from them. So there's only one import. We'll probably end up just taking it. Coffee. This will take a total of 6 rotation of ships. So it's going to take like 2 years probably. But once it finishes up, then the Americans will be even happier. We have the relation over 100. I could ask for financial aid, but I mean, we're making enough money. So I'd really keep the relation high. And maybe potentially get a better couple of deals. We'll get the offshore office, just so I can show you what I was talking about. I mean, I would rather kind of set it up somewhere cool. Maybe we could just do it here. Kind of quick build it. And let's invite the USA. So weapons and apparel. That's kind of upsetting. We'll invite the EU. So cars and chocolate. So maybe that would be kind of nifty. Because we're going to be producing cars. We didn't set up... Price of each good is either increased or decreased by a certain amount. That would be unfortunate if it affected cars negatively. Wow, that made cars jump up by a humongous amount. So this car manufacturing factory here is probably going to be like really, really, really high up. This might be a time where I get like a really crazy number. Okay, so here's like the plan. The customs office is about to get filled in. Customs office is filled in. So stimulate exports. What this means is that all of the exports are going up by, like as we can see here, 53% increase on cloth to America. We need to research the customs office. So that was at 53. Now it's down to 45 because we changed the work mode. So if we leave this on stimulate exports, there's an increase in the cost of exported goods. So if we had a deal for cars, then we would make a lot of money, right? Because cars are 38,000. That's really, really, really crazy. So stimulating the exports will increase that even further. Having this offshore office will increase the export price even higher because the little thing right here. I don't want to make the EU too upset too quickly. I didn't talk about this quite yet, but we now have access to the intellectuals and the conservative factions. As a matter of fact, there is something called the good old days. Citizens wear old-fashioned clothes. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and activate this. Because I kinda don't like the way that the criminals look. They have on like these masks here. And it's like 1918. So, like, I just think it looks kind of funny. If it was like in the 2000s, then I guess it would make a bit more sense, but 1918, so I wonder what they look like with this on. Yeah, so criminals look, I just think it looks better. And here's some crime lords. Let's go ahead and, yeah. That looks funny too. I don't like that the crime lords are coming in and out. Fulfill export trade with Russia. Probably never gonna do that. That's okay. So this is increasing cars and chocolate. So what I kind of want to do is set up, we already have our first car company. And I'm not going to push the efficiency too high. I'll leave it at 110 because that's the same as our steel mill. You don't want to make the vehicle factory too efficient because then it'll be chewing through too many resources before we're producing these resources. We're starting to have a pretty consistent amount of money. And so what I want to do is, I believe healthcare is going up because of our hospital here. But I just recorded for a whole hour, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut this episode here. I would want to just keep on playing, but there's another project that I'm working on that I kind of want to put some time into right now. But let's see. Kind of give like a rundown. Everything's looking really, really nice. This is a pretty good island so far. But what I want to do is I want to set up, I think in the next episode, I'm gonna focus on getting all of the happiness, like food happiness up, healthcare happiness up, get fun happiness up as high as I can. Faith happiness is never going to be above like 46 or whatever the, it'll be, oh wow, 53, that's pretty good. It'll never be above 53. The reason it's so low is just because I don't have enough, chapels down, so we can get that above 53. Job happiness, housing happiness, we can get housing happiness pretty close to 100. As you can see, most of the islands living in these apartments and they're getting 60. But if we push it up to the maximum budget and then electrify it, we can get over 100. So we could push everyone's housing happiness really close to 100. And so that's going to be like what I'm going to focus on right away in the next video. But after that, then, so it'll be like that, doing, getting the happinesses up high. And as a matter of fact, I probably won't even focus on apartments. I would rather probably just modernize most of them. So that'll be like the first thing I'm going to focus on is getting the happinesses up. And then get down some more electricity. Finish setting up the 3 more car factories here. And then with America, I want to try and find a export that's at like over 100%. That'd be really, really crazy. Because then we'd be making an insane amount of money. And I want to turn this into, you know, Chicago. So hopefully that'll be coming along real soon. We'll start getting a lot of skyscrapers all along this area here. Probably build some more down. So we'll have skyscrapers. This will be the industrial zone. Skyscrapers all down to here. And kind of like an L shape is what I think we'll end up doing. Have the municipal zone here where all of the courthouses and important buildings are. And then what I might end up doing is building like a bunch of just plantations out here. And put in little country houses next to it, make them look quaint. And I think that'll be pretty cool. But if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like. And if you want to see more content like this on Tropico, I'm also going to be doing, like right now I'm working on a video for Ark Survival Ascended. I was having a lot of difficulty recording that, that's why it's taken so long, but I'm going to have that hopefully posted real soon. And then I do want to work on some other projects as soon as I'm finished with the Ark video. But if you want to see any more content like that, be sure to subscribe. Peace.